What's up, guys? My name is Rob. Welcome back to Rule of Two Review, where today I'm going to talk about my new 3DS. So it's obviously a pretty exciting time because, as most of us know, the new Nintendo 3DS just launched a couple of days ago now, Friday, February 13th. Anyone who saw my unboxing video did see that I actually did receive mine in the mail, delivered to my front door right when I came home from work on Friday, which was just so damned cool. I was kind of getting worried based on some of the updating tracking info that I was getting in my email from GameStop and from UPS that it was going to show up after the weekend, maybe on Monday. And I got real lucky, man, because I came home from work and there it was, and I was just so thrilled and pumped. I got to open it for you guys on camera, which is really cool. And now it's been a couple days. You know, it's Sunday, February 15th, and I've been able to mess with it a little bit, play some Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, of course, and kind of just get kind of my first early impressions on what the system is like, how the differences between this and the regular old Nintendo 3DS feels, what the 3D is like, the camera stick, and all these kinds of things. So I figured I would really quickly touch on that, what my impressions are so far, and maybe even talk about Monster Hunter 4 a little. So there's kind of a lot to dive into when trying to dissect the differences between the new Nintendo 3DS and the previous version of the Nintendo 3DS. And I guess the first thing I'm going to talk about is going to be the processing power as far as how the actual OS and the UI of the system works and feels compared to the older one. Now, of course, we know that the new processing power in the new Nintendo 3DS is going to be affecting some games going forward. The first that we, of course, know of is the Xenoblade Chronicles port from the Wii to the new 3DS, which comes out in the States here in April. Really exciting for anyone who hasn't played that game. I cannot stress enough how much you need to. It is probably one of my 10 favorite games of the entire last generation, easily one of my favorite Wii games, and probably the first, my number one or number two favorite RPG/JRPG of all time. I mean, it's an amazing game. I'm personally not going to be picking up the 3DS version because I've almost beaten the regular Wii version. I picked that up on launch day here in the States when that came out in 2012, I believe. It's an amazing game, but we know that that's going to be the first game that really showcases what the new power for the new Nintendo 3DS will do for games specifically. There's been a recent rumor about a Twilight Princess remake or port, you could say, to the new Nintendo 3DS using that new power. And I both think that's really cool and not the right decision at the same time, but of course that's a rumor, so excuse me, I don't really want to get into that too much today. But as far as the actual processing power and just the feel of the system and navigating the menus, man, it makes a hell of a difference. I had to go through, since I did the transfer process, which was a freaking nightmare, by the way. Anyone who follows my Twitter feed for Rule of Two Review or Rule of Two Review on Facebook saw me make a post about how stressful that was and how much I absolutely hated that process. Wow, Nintendo, that's definitely somewhere where you dropped the ball. And moving forward, I hope you fix this stuff and make it easier. But regardless, when you go through that process, you do have to go through a lot of menus on the new Nintendo 3DS. And not only doing that, but of course doing the system update, the game update for Monster Hunter 4, moving all my kind of icons and stuff around. I had to re-download Monster Hunter once I moved my old stuff, my old 3DS info to the new 3DS. And what else did I have to do? I tried pulling up a couple apps like YouTube and Netflix and going back and forth through the 3D calibration and all these different things. I went through my friends list and did a couple things, adding some new people and vice versa. And it really makes a difference. It's much, much faster. It feels much more complete of a system. It reminds me of when the Wii U first launched, for anyone who bought it launch day and played it in that first probably 2 months, remembers that system was really slow going in and out of menus and in and out of games and apps, and they have since fixed that. It was one of the early big patches for the Wii U, and it made a huge difference. And same thing here for the new Nintendo 3DS. It is a way more streamlined, easier, and funner experience to navigate through it because it moves so much faster. So I definitely have to give it up to Nintendo for that. That was a very smart decision. I haven't had a chance or a reason to test any Amiibo support, but we know that it's got the built-in NFC and Amiibo functionality to the system, so I think that's part of why they had to upgrade the power to the system, you can say, the processing speed, so that it can work easily with Amiibos as well. So I'll be really excited to test that stuff out in the future. But as of now, the improved power, like I said, it's great for navigating the system. I'll be really excited to see, you know, in the next maybe few months and years, what kind of other games come out that are only going to be usable with this new processing power of the new Nintendo 3DS. But until that happens, I'm just going to keep using it like a regular 3DS, and so far it feels fantastic. The next thing that I want to talk about is probably my favorite new addition. It's one of the big obvious ones everyone was really excited to talk about when they saw the reveal of the new Nintendo 3DS. That is going to be the improved 3D. Now, I am somebody who absolutely plays with the 3D on every single time, all the time. It is the only way I like to play my 3DS. I think it is a humongous part of the reason why the system exists and why you should want to buy and play it. Of course, if you have a problem with your eyes, or your eyesight where it's not, you either can't see 3D or it hurts your eyes, that's a different story, okay? So people like you are excluded, of course, from this conversation, but for everyone else who sees, regular 20/20 vision or even pretty good with their glasses, I wear reading glasses and sometimes for seeing and other things. And, with or without my glasses on, I can see that 3D fantastically. And I got to tell you, as somebody who loves having the 3D on, it is really great. I mean, I cannot stress to you how much better it is than the older 3DS models. I mean, it's clearer. The 3D, the depth is just a little bit more, it's more precise and focused. It doesn't seem as blurry and awkward, and they've just really improved that. Of course, there is the Super 3D stability. I don't remember what they had. There's a name for it. Super stable 3D plus mode or something. It's, it's the head tracking that's built into the new Nintendo 3DS. They've talked about that a couple times. Now it's easier to move the system around or move your head around, even if it's just the normal kind of movement that you do just as a human being holding a 3DS in your hand. And on the old 3DS, of course, it would shift out of focus pretty easily if you had the 3D on. And they've been very proud to say they built this head tracking technology into the front-facing camera on the 3DS so that no matter where you move your head, within reason, the 3D is going to stay focused and concise, and hot frickin' damn, it works. It works as good as they've said. Not only is the 3D in and of itself improved, the head tracking means it's also easier to stay in 3D. The screen and the colors and the graphics all pop and look way more vibrant on this new 3D, and the fact that it doesn't shift itself out of focus when you move around is fantastic. It calibrates that Super 3D right when you turn it on for the first time, and you, of course, can go back and recalibrate and adjust it as you want. It'll do some weird things, like if you move it too fast, I think especially if you're in kind of a dim room, if you move it too fast, it's going to... it's going to kind of like blink and kind of shift and freak out a little bit on you here and there, but nothing too terribly significant. It's still ultimately kind of gets the job done, and it's just so rare that any of us are going to move around that much playing our 3DS. I just don't think that it's going to become an issue for many people. It hasn't been an issue for me. I've been spending most of today now finally sitting down, playing a game, seeing the 3D, using the camera stick, and doing all these things, and it's just awesome. I love the 3D on the 3DS, so I love that they improved it and made it better and made it easier to stay in focus when you move around. So, of course, the last thing I want to talk about is the other big change to the system, and that is going to be the camera stick, the camera nub, the little nubbin nub, whatever you want to call that thing. I guess it's a camera. I'm going to call it a camera stick, whatever. It's the C-Stick. It is awesome. I mean, it's exactly what it looks like it would be. Now, of course, this helps me segue into Monster Hunter a little bit, because Monster Hunter so far has been the only game I've been playing on my new Monster Hunter Edition 3DS. And that is a game that, of course, takes advantage of having the C-Stick, the C-Nub. You definitely need camera control and support in that game. And I think that's absolutely why they made sure to launch this game, Monster Hunter, with the new Nintendo 3DS, so that the C-Stick actually had a reason to be utilized for a lot of new players and new gamers. And of course, this big game that's really going to take advantage of it. I have yet to pick up the Majora's Mask 3D port, which I will be picking up, and I don't know if that's going to be using the C-Stick or not, but I guess we'll see. Regardless of that, Monster Hunter is the big game that is really heavy on camera control, so it's nice having this C-Nub. And when I first got it, if you were to watch my unboxing, you can see when I feel it for the first time, it's a little bit softer and rubbery than I was expecting, and it doesn't like move. It doesn't click or kind of shift itself around. It's not really, positioned on a pivot. It's a very stable little nub that just has a little bit of give as you move it, but it's just enough. And using it in the game, a game like Monster Hunter that can be fairly frenetic and fast-paced, and oh shit, I gotta run away from this giant thing real fast and also know where I'm going so I don't die, this thing works awesomely. It really feels great. The fact that it's stable, I think, actually makes it more efficient than being more of a click loose kind of pivoting kind of lever sort of controller, like your typical analog stick on a controller. I also am surprisingly like this more than having just a regular old C-Stick, what is that called? The slider stick that's on the left side of the 3DS. They could have done something where they just put that same thing on the right side, which would have been great, kind of like the big boat, left attachment analog stick thing, whatever that thing is called. I feel like using this nub actually feels better because it takes up less real estate on the face of the new 3DS, and I really like that. It's very comfortably and perfectly positioned right by your 4 major face buttons, and I certainly was like, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, well, it's better than nothing, so I'm glad they included it, but it's weird that it's a little nub, and it looks like it's in a weird place, so I don't know how well that's going to work. I had my reservations, even though I was glad they were doing it. Now that I've been playing the game and using it in a game for the last several hours, yeah, it works awesomely. I can't wait to try some other games like Resident Evil and what other 3DS games do I have that would use that? Well, I think you can use it for your Smash Stick and Smash Brothers too, so I'm going to have to try that out. I don't know. Well, regardless, it works great. At least for Monster Hunter, it works great. It was a very smart thing to include. When you think about the improved 3D and you think about the camera nub, it kind of makes you wonder why this was never included in the first place. My only thought, I have 2 thoughts. One is that Nintendo knew they could have included it, but they left it out so that they could have a reason to release an improved version of the 3DS down the road, and of course sell brand new 3DSs to people who might even already have them. The other reason is it's entirely possible that having this better quality 3D now, 4 years ago when the 3DS launched, and adding this little nub, might have cost too much. It might have brought the cost of the system up too high, and they would have had to sell it for too much, which they already did in the first place, and they had to drop the price pretty fast. So I think that that's maybe part of it. Regardless, it's really nice to have this new version of the 3DS out now. The improved 3D is fantastic. The camera stick works wonders. Again, only for Monster Hunter, the only game I've played so far. And speaking of Monster Hunter, let me talk about that bad boy for a minute because, man, it is freaking great. And I haven't even gotten to get online with my 3 major monster hunting buddies who, like I said in my unboxing video, we all 3 purchased a Monster Hunter new 3DS. We were all very fortunate to get those pre-ordered on the first day, and we all officially have them now. We did a little bit of demo hunting stuff. Actually, they did. I never got to join on in the demo stuff, but now we all have the official final game, our new Monster Hunter Edition, new 3DSs, and pretty soon, maybe even later today or tomorrow this week, we're going to finally get in some serious, online multiplayer hunting sessions. But as far as just going through the game right now, it's early couple of missions, feeling out the differences, the new controls, the graphics, the hunting. It's an awesome game. It is definitely made better by the advent of having a camera stick to control it. But that aside, just as its own game, Monster Hunter, it's freaking fantastic. They're doing a lot of really cool things with it. They're giving you way more mobility and flexibility. There's many more ways to kind of traverse the land. You can climb up on ledges and hop over things and just do all sorts of cool stuff. There's a new mechanic when fighting monsters where you can actually jump on top of them and you start attacking while you're climbing on them, which is something that the previous Monster Hunters did not allow you to do. It feels great in this. The combos feel way more easier to execute without making the game easier to play. The weapon sets are just so badass. Some of the new weapons are just really, really cool. They've done a lot with this game to improve it, and they've kind of, nullified the difficulty, or at least the barrier of entry, I should say, so that it's not so hardcore of an experience to alienate new players and make it really hard to get into and adapt to. Monster Hunter is a serious hardcore game. It's a grinding game. It's a loot game. It's a weapon and armor crafting game, and there's tons of shit to do and to find and to put together and to buy and to craft. Weapons, armors, helmets, all this shit. There's just so much to do in this series, and that's what makes it great. But at the same time, it can almost be too much maybe for some people, and I feel like they've really worked to strike a balance that enables new players to jump in pretty easily and figure out the particulars of the world and the gameplay, as well as it still has all that depth and all that lore and all this crazy loot and herbs and minerals and things to find and really difficult monster battles that make Monster Hunter what it is. That is a staple, a tried and true staple of that series and that gameplay. And it's wonderful. I feel like this has got to be the best one yet. Yes, me and my friends are very sad they didn't release the Wii U version. I have no idea what Nintendo or Capcom were thinking. My only hope is that another Monster Hunter might be coming for the Wii U down the road. Maybe Monster Hunter 5. I don't really want it to be another version of Monster Hunter 4 just because we now have this. Why not make it a whole brand new Monster Hunter or a spin-off Monster Hunter that isn't labeled 5 but is still its own, next-gen, built from the ground up Wii U Monster Hunter game? I think that would be fantastic, especially if you could connect it with Monster Hunter 4. There's really cool opportunities there as well. So, that aside, the game is amazing. It's everything I was hoping it was going to be, and I'm sure that once me and my buddies finally jump into some online hunting, some co-op hunting, it's just going to be the most badass thing ever. We're probably going to be losing our minds. It is really exciting. The game is awesome. Monster Hunter is not for everybody, and this game still does have the typical kind of barrier for entry for new players that any other Monster Hunter does, but it is easily the easiest to get into compared to any previous entry in the series, and I think that that's pretty damn cool. All right, well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. You know, I had a good opportunity and chance to talk about my new Nintendo 3DS, my Monster Hunter Bundle 3DS, what I think of the new features, or at least, you know, the three big ones. To me, the three big ones are the improved processing power, the improved stable 3D, and of course, the camera stick. So those three things I've spent a good amount of time on. I love it. I love my new 3DS. You know, it feels like enough of a jump. I was happy to have purchased it. It was worth my $250. You know, damn it, Nintendo, everything you make, even if it seems pointless and fruitless, it still ends up being awesome. And it's like, here, just take all my goddamn money. I don't want it anyway. So it's really great. You know, anyone out there who has had the chance to pick up a new 3DS, please talk about your feelings and share your impressions below. It's only been a couple days, so of course we'll find out more and more as the system gets into more people's hands over the next few weeks, because they're selling out like crazy and they're very hard to find. But like I said, so far I love my new 3DS. Well done, Nintendo. Monster Hunter 4 is fucking awesome. I just can't believe how much I love that series. You know, it's just the greatest, most fun thing. And once we get stuck on the co-op, man, with our friends, just forget about it. We're going to have no life anymore. We're going to be monster hunting all the time. So hopefully you guys have a chance to play Monster Hunter, pick up a new 3DS, try it out, leave your thoughts about both of those things below. Thanks for tuning in. Please feel free to subscribe to Rule of Two Review if you haven't already. Like and share the video. Follow the links below to the Facebook page and the Twitter, both of which I do run. Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next time on another video for Rule of Two Review.